Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. I am today wearing my homemade yard goats mask. As one of you said just before, keep hope alive. Look, we've waited for baseball before, and we'll wait for baseball again. But in the meantime, we'll support our teams any way we can. And another thank you to my mother, who made this mask also. So now that we've got a good distance between us, I'm going to take it off. This one's a little more complicated. We have a few updates today. First of all, I just want to give you an update on the numbers that we're seeing. We have now had just under 900 Hartford residents who have tested positive for the coronavirus since the beginning of this pandemic. We have had 307 Hartford residents hospitalized, and we have had 77 Hartford residents lose their lives whose death has been attributed or associated with the coronavirus. And again, our hearts and prayers are with every family affected by this virus. We have, over the last few days, seen a slight decrease in the number of daily hospitalizations. And we are hopeful that that represents a trend that will continue. As you know, we are right about the time when some of the models have suggested that we would reach a plateau or move past the peak. That said, I think it's important to say that we are very cautious in drawing any conclusions from this data. We have seen a number of times over the past few weeks situations where daily hospitalizations have dipped for a few days and then have climbed again. So we're going to continue to monitor every day. We are hopeful that this trend will continue, but I want to stress, as I have every time, that whether this trend continues or not, whether we indeed see a flattening of the curve and move past the peak, is in large part up to all of us collectively. Whether we continue to take this seriously, continue to honor the requests and the requirements to keep a physical distance between ourselves and other people, wear our masks, wash our hands, all those things matter. All those things will matter even if we are at the peak or just past the peak. They'll matter in the weeks ahead to make sure that we don't have a renewed spike and yet a higher peak. Again, we are cautiously optimistic looking at recent numbers, but very, very cautiously based both on what we've seen over the last few weeks and just our knowledge of how transmissible this virus is and how vigilant we all have to be. I also want to share a few other things. First of all, we talked last week about initiatives that we were taking at the city level to try to eliminate or reduce barriers to testing. There's one additional development that's very positive that I want to share, and that is that last Friday and again today, the National Guard, in partnership with one of our FQHCs, Charter Oak Health Center, has been doing rapid testing from a mobile testing site at the Charter Oak Health Center. They're going to be going to multiple locations, but we expect that they will be back at the Charter Oak Health Center. And so really encourage any Hartford resident who feels that they need a test to contact your health provider. But if your best point of access is an FQHC, federally qualified health center, please reach out to that FQHC. And if Charter Oak is the place that you are familiar with and comfortable with, please reach out to Charter Oak, because they can either write a prescription for a test that'll be administered at one of the hospitals, or they can potentially have you directly tested with a rapid test at at their site in partnership with the National Guard. And I'm very, very grateful to the National Guard for placing their mobile testing site at Charter Oak Health Center. I also want to make sure that everybody knows about a state initiative that is important. As you know, the governor recently announced a really significant donation of supplies, and the state is partnering with municipalities to get those supplies, particularly masks, out to small businesses who may need those masks and haven't been able to get them. The eligibility requirements for that are you've got to be an essential business. You have to be deemed essential under the governor's executive orders, and you have to have under 50 employees. If you meet those criteria, I strongly encourage you to go onto the state's website, ctcovidresponse.org. That's ctcovidresponse.org, and register your business and submit the need that you have, how many masks you need, how many employees need them. We'll then be partnering to get those distributed to small businesses that meet those criteria here in Hartford. So again, if you're a small business that's deemed essential, that has under 50 employees, and that has needs for masks for your employees, go to ctcovidresponse.org, register your small business, submit your needs, and we will be partnering with the state to get those masks to you, but really urge you to do that. I finally want to talk about our city budget. So today I am submitting my recommended budget to the City Council. It is a week later than it normally would be, but the City Council adopted a revised calendar a few weeks back. So we're submitting this budget today. As you can imagine, the budget looks a little bit different than it would have looked without this coronavirus pandemic. We have been working very, very hard over the last few years in this city to put the city of Hartford on a strong and sustainable fiscal path. We have had a lot of success in moving this city from crisis towards stability and in managing carefully towards that 5-year plan that we've laid out and then beyond. I want to start by saying that there is tremendous uncertainty about the year ahead. I don't know that there is a city or a state in the country that can tell you with any degree of certainty or confidence what their revenues are going to look like in the year ahead. Property tax revenues a little bit more stable than income tax or sales tax, but we're expecting that there's going to be a hit next year. What we've done in this budget is reduce our expected revenue by about $5 million. So we've got $5 million less revenue built into this budget than we would have prior to the pandemic. And we have reduced expenditures as well. So this budget overall is about a 1% reduction from last year. There's no tax increase in this budget. There's no borrowing, long-term borrowing anticipated in this budget. We continue to do capital investment with operating funds as we, again, build for a long-term, strong, sustainable future for the city. But it's important to say that while we've reduced our revenue estimates by $5 million, we don't really know whether we're going to see $5 million less in the coming year or $25 million less in the coming year or more than that. I don't know that there's any city in the country that could tell you anything different. We're all flying without instruments right now. It's very hard to see over the horizon and know what's coming. And so we have to be fully prepared that even after submitting what is a very, very lean budget that continues the discipline, that preserves the savings of the past years, we're going to be prepared for an uncertain year ahead. And we may have to make some big changes as the year goes on. But a few years ago, we cut deep. We cut, not just into fat, but into muscle and bone, and we've been carefully rebuilding and managing. So there's not an awful lot of room for reductions without having a damaging impact on our ability to deliver basic services. But again, we will face whatever comes this year, and we'll do it in the same way that we dealt with our budget crisis a few years ago, which is honestly, transparently, directly, and we'll stay focused on the long-term strength of this city. So with that, I am happy to take any questions. Anybody? All right. Well, thank you all for coming today. I'm going to turn it over to Liani in a second, but I will soon be submitting the recommended budget for this coming year, fiscal year 2021, to the City Council for their consideration, and I'll be working closely with them in the weeks ahead as we finalize this budget. Thanks so much, everybody. And I'm going to turn it over to Liani for a few of those quick updates in Spanish.
Buenas tardes. Hoy le quiero dar un breve resumen de lo que ha dicho nuestro alcalde Luke Bronin. Hoy día en la ciudad de Hartford contamos con 889 casos del coronavirus. Hemos tenido 307 de nuestros residentes que han sido hospitalizados en total. Y también hemos tenido 77 muertes debido al coronavirus. La semana pasada le dimos información acerca de lo que se está haciendo en la ciudad. También hoy queremos darle más información de una nueva iniciativa que ha pasado el viernes y hoy día. El estado de Connecticut tuvo pruebas móviles en el centro de Charter Oak, el centro de salud de Charter Oak. Esperamos y queremos que esto siga pasando, pero si tienes alguna duda, si necesitas una prueba, por favor le pedimos que llamen a su proveedor médico o también puede llamar a nuestras clínicas comunitarias como Charter Oak para ser revisado y que le hagan un orden para hacer la prueba. También tenemos información para nuestros negocios pequeños que son esenciales. Pienso que todos ya han visto que este fin de semana la compañía Raytheon donó a la ciudad, al estado de Connecticut bastante equipo de protección personal. Este equipo de protección personal se va a dar a negocios pequeños que tienen menos de 50 personas y son esenciales si van y se inscriben en el sitio de internet connecticutcovidresponse.org. Entonces, si quieres tener acceso a esa protección, equipo de protección personal, por favor, inscríbate en connecticutcovidresponse.org. Ahí puedes buscar más información, te puedes inscribir, decir qué equipo necesita. Y entonces, ese equipo se va a difundir aquí al nivel de la ciudad. Por último, le queremos dar un resumen acerca del presupuesto de la ciudad este año. Como ha dicho nuestro alcalde, él ha creado una fundación para nuestra ciudad, una fundación fuerte, y se hicieron muchas decisiones difíciles en estos últimos años. Y esta pandemia ha traído nuevos desafíos y nuevas barreras para nosotros. Pero este presupuesto es bastante similar o parecido al del año pasado. No aumenta impuestos y sigue haciendo priorización a los servicios esenciales y a nuestros residentes. Bajamos el dinero que estamos asumiendo que va a llegar a la ciudad por 5 millones, pero también hemos bajado los gastos de la ciudad por 5 millones. Entonces, el presupuesto este año es un 1% más bajo del año pasado. Así que todavía hay mucha incertidumbre acerca de lo que esta pandemia va a hacer al presupuesto el año que entra, pero si tenemos que cambiar el presupuesto o hay diferente situación, vamos a seguir enfrentando a eso con transparidad y con honestidad, como ha dicho nuestro alcalde. Gracias.
Thank you,